6 million Canadians have registered retirement savings plans. Another 21 million could have them, but either don't have the money to start one or are putting it off until later. Not even the government knows how much money is in RRSPs. Ottawa does know that many people take out money every year long before they need it for retirement. Those withdrawals are taxed immediately at anywhere from 10% to 31%, depending on the amount taken out. The withdrawals could be subject to higher taxation later, as much as about 50%. Danielle Park is an independent financial advisor who has clients across Canada and the United States. She says taking money out of an RRSP early is almost never a good idea. What's wrong with taking money out of an RRSP?
You know, it goes back to basic discipline. How do you get wealth for the future? You must spend less than you earn. You must set aside contributions for the future out of your present income. And to do that, you need to put it inside of a registered account or a tax-sheltered account so that it can grow untaxed as it goes. That can be a huge benefit. So provided that they're doing it for the right reasons, in other words, that they're able to amass savings out of their income, that's an excellent way to do it. If they're turning around because they want to take a trip all of a sudden, you know, to the Caribbean and they don't have any money and they look at their RSP and think, great, there's a fund we can take it out of, then that shows that you really are missing the entire point and you really are costing yourself a lot of dollars in the future by not being able to put off that consumption today.
Most people don't realize how much money can grow when it's not taxed. Even a one-time RRSP contribution can be worth a lot of money if it stays inside the sheltered plan. Let's say an actor or writer made a $1,000 RRSP contribution in 1975 at the age of 20 and then did nothing else. That money would grow through the 1987 stock market crash, the dot-com bubble, and the 2008 financial crisis. And by 2011, when our actor or writer is 56, it would have a value of almost $35,000. But say the plan holder took out $2,000 when they were 30 to go on that Caribbean vacation. Then the RRSP would be worth $18,000 in 2011. That's a $17,000 holiday.
Assuming you have positive growth year over year in your RSP, which you can do, which is not easy these days, but you can do it, you are able to magnify that. So, you know, I liken it to a snowball. You start out small, you roll it a little, you'll pick up a little. The bigger the ball, the more you're going to pick up. So you really are trying to amass a bunch of capital sooner than later, because then as it gathers 2 or 3 or 4% a year, it really starts to become something really big. And that's what you're going to need to fund retirement.
There are ways to take money out of an RRSP without being taxed. One of them is to take up to $25,000 to buy a home for the first time. The other is to withdraw $20,000 to go back to university or take other post-secondary courses. In both cases, you're borrowing money from your own RRSP, so you have to pay it back, but at least you're paying yourself.
You know, my dad was an actor when I was a kid. He was a professional singer, and I understand that there's not always a constant stream of income. If you are perhaps, you know, getting one gig or play and going from one to the other with gaps in the middle, sometimes it can be trouble. It can be trouble because you don't have a steady stream of income. And it all goes back to if you're spending every dime you make, you know, as you're making it. Then when you come to the hiatus in your income, when you get a lower year because maybe the business you're in has a low year. You know, there's an ebb and flow to this. And the brilliance of financial discipline means that in the boom times, or when you have a run of boom contracts, you squirrel away nuts for later so you can smooth that cycle out.
The value of money is eaten away by inflation. If there's 2% inflation, $1,000 is worth $673 after 20 years. At 4%, it's worth less than half, $456.
Very few people understand the math of how much income is provided off a lump sum today. You know, to get $30,000 of income, you would need to have about $1 million in savings. So a lot of people are working, you know, making 40, 50, 60, 70,000 a year, not realizing that if they were to stop work, they'd need to have a couple of $1 million in the bank to provide that same flow of income. And very few people have that kind of money set aside.
Taking money out of an RRSP early should be a last resort. It is not a rainy day fund. That's what a tax-free savings account could be used for. People are living longer. Today, a Canadian is as likely to live well past 80 as a person in 1900 was likely to live to just 55. That perhaps is the best reason for not dipping into an RRSP. You're probably going to need it later. This is Fred Langan reporting.